colder yet bigger. How can that be? Watch very closely.
Welcome to Numberline Shore. Here, the environment itself maps out the rules of the number system, like the exact markings for standard 6.NS.C.7d carved right into the driftwood. Notice the small turtle resting precisely at the 0 stone. When we observe an object moving along this shore, we have to track two distinct things: its exact physical position, which we call its order, and the total distance it has traveled from 0, which we call its absolute value. This map of the shore stones shows what happens when our subject moves to the left. As it travels into negative territory, its physical location drops lower on the number line, yet the actual distance it covers is steadily adding up. Moving further to the left guarantees a smaller numerical value, but because the subject is taking physical steps away from the starting point, its absolute distance from 0 continues to grow. Let's look at this layout of the shore. One stone is marked at -3, and another further left at -8. Comparing their order, -3 is the greater number simply because it lies to the right. Absolute value asks a different question. We measure the exact distance from each stone back to 0. -3 is 3 units away, and -8 is 8 units away. Comparing distances, a length of 8 units is strictly greater than 3 units. Negative magnitude can trick the eye. A number can represent a mathematically lesser value while possessing a physical distance that is much larger. This dual meaning shows up perfectly in personal finance. Here, lily pads display two bank accounts with negative balances of -45 and -20. But notice the positive values, $45 and $20, reflected in the water ripples directly below them. Think about what those reflections mean. Which of these two accounts has the lower balance, and which one represents the larger debt? This table plots both accounts on a horizontal timeline. Finding the lower balance is just finding the lowest positional order. Since -45 is positioned further to the left, it has the lower balance. The term debt, however, refers to the actual size of what is owed. Calculating the absolute value distances for both accounts, we get +45 and +20.
-30 sits lower. Its size is larger. Order's not size.
The $45 debt is the larger distance from 0. Financial vocabulary requires both concepts. The word balance dictates the signed order on the number line, while the word debt measures the absolute value. It is easy to confuse these rules. Take a look at this scratch in the sand. It claims that the absolute value of -10 is less than the absolute value of -4. This mistake happens when we apply the rule of signed order to distance measurements. Yes, the position of -10 is less than -4, but the absolute value bars change the question. On this schematic path, traveling from -10 to 0 requires 10 physical steps. The path from -4 to 0 only requires 4 steps. Comparing distances directly, a 10-unit path is longer. Thus, the absolute value of -10 is greater. Assuming that absolute values follow the same inequality directions as their raw signed numbers leads to completely backward comparisons. Resolving these comparisons comes down to a single distinction. A number's left-to-right position dictates its comparative order, while its physical distance from 0 dictates its absolute magnitude. Sedge, the river otter, rests next to the perfect summary of this rule. -10 is less than -4, but the absolute value of -10 is greater than the absolute value of -4. Look at the marks around you. Which mark in the environment proves the mathematical relationship? And how does the animal action make it true?
Two different questions. Which is less? Which is farther?